Nurses are caring, deeply caring people.
Yeah.
And the Shiftyy community will change a culture. So I see that. I see how it could be incredibly valuable because nurses want to take care of themselves through caring for each other.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Breathe and Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. We have two incredible guests from opposite sides of the coast coming to join us here in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a CNO. She's an educator, a policy advocate, 30 plus years in the healthcare industry, served as the Northern California representative for the American Association for Nurse Practitioners. I could go on and on. The list is extensive, to say the least. Surani Hayre-Kwan, thank you so much for joining the show.
I'm glad to be here.
And we have a third-time repeat guest.
Coming back for more.
Founder of Unparalleled Performance. He is a leadership expert. He is the creator of the 5 Ls program. He has the book sitting here with us today.
Yep.
Mr. Mike Mannix.
Little prop. Always good to be back, Mason. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've had a lot of conversations over the years, and it's great to have both of you sitting here today and talking about kind of the broader mission that's bringing us together. So before we get into that, for those that haven't heard of the 5 Ls, give them a little overview of, you know, what the 5 Ls is and kind of how that lays the foundation for the mission that you and Surani are trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. Well, when I first met with you as with my business partner, Sal, right? Because Sal's actually the creator of the 5 Ls, the whole concept. I was lucky enough to meet Sal 6 years ago. He told me about the 5 Ls and this concept he came up with. They sent him off to Harvard. You know, he was a leader in KPMG, and once a year they pick a leader and they send him off to Harvard. Now, Sal, very much like myself, did not come from money, right? So, you know, first in his family to go to college. Now he's going off to Harvard, and his mom's very, very proud of, you know, typical Italian mother. She's like, "Oh, my boy, bring back the hat with the H," you know, the whole thing, right? So while he was there, he took a program called Success, right? And how do you define success? And they heard all these different reasons on what they thought success was. And Sal's like, "I can't wait till they get to me. I am success, right? I made partner in the firm I wanted to be in. I've got the title. I've got financial freedom. I'm golden." But then he started to hear things like, how about being a better person? How about being a better partner? How about being a better parent? Things that were foreign to him at the time, right? So at the end of this class, he comes back. The professor goes, "Thank you for all your data points, hundreds and hundreds of data points. I got it down to a usable number. I got it down to 10. And Sal's like, 10? I thought it was 2. How am I going to go back to the partnership at KPMG and be like, "Hey, successful people, you need 10 more things to be successful."
Right.
They'd laugh him out of the firm. So he got it down to 5, and he realized a lot of them kind of overlapped. And then 1 or 2 of them started with the letter L. And then he's like, wait a minute, if I get it on the 5 fingers, 5 toes, I'll never forget it. But if I can get it to all start with L, that's my last name, LaGreca, I'll never forget it. So that's where the 5 Ls came from. And for your listeners that are tuning in for the first time, the 5 Ls, what it was initially was Sal's brainchild of love, without it all else fails, right? Laughter, do not take yourself too seriously. Labor, you know, we're born to produce. We're wired to work, right? So if you're going to do something, do it with passion and purpose. Leisure, you have to disconnect and recharge your batteries. And then leave, right? So leave is about change management. It's knowing when to adjust the sails and change course, and that can be anything, right? But alone, they have purpose, but together in a balanced fashion, they have true power. But what happened 6 years ago is when we got together, I'm the science data geek between the two of us. You know, I'm the leadership guy. You know, I study it. I've been teaching it at NYU for years. And he told me these 5 Ls, and I'm like, this could change the world. You've got to get this out there. You got to write a book. That went over really bad. I mean, first time I met the guy, he's like, "So how much have you had to drink?" I'm like, no. Really, I'm telling you, this is amazing. Talked him into it. And then we realized very quickly that we had something special, and he asked me to write the book with him because I had all the science and the data and all that kind of stuff that could bring it to life. And so at the end of the day, the 5 Ls became a science-supported program that gives people real tools, no fluff, no hype, right? Because the tools I wish someone gave me 30 years ago to deal with stress, anxiety, and burnout so you can find work-life balance. So that was the long-winded answer to your question, but that's where it came from.
I love it. It's powerful every time I hear it, and it's a reminder every time I hear it, because it is something that, you know, whenever you get lost and you start feeling burnout or you start feeling those types of things, to be able to have a foundation like that to revert back to and remind yourself, I have the 5L's chips on my desk so that I can look at it whenever I'm about to pull my hair out after a long day.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for that. It's inspiring every time. Surani, so how did you and Mike kind of come into contact in the first place?
Well, we actually have a mutual friend between us who was a work friend of mine. He and I had done some very innovative projects at our previous employer. And he went off and started a company with another colleague, also on the East Coast, weirdly. Yeah. And they came up with some really innovative, but also more common sense ways to manage expectations at work. Very interesting things. I was very interested in that work, and also looking at what we had done in the past to figure out how could we bring some of these ideas to people across the country also struggling with these concepts in healthcare. And so he and I have been talking for several years. He's like, I got this guy you got to meet, Mike. You got to meet Mike. And I was like, okay. And so we
went down.
Yeah, that's how it went down. So we met, and I was like, wow, good energy. And then I got the book, and I read the book cover to cover. Quick read of lots of obviously obvious things that you should be doing, and things that we know are the right thing to do, but having it all kind of in one place. And of course, with the 5Ls, it's a little easier to remember. So that's how we met.
Yeah. That's so cool. I think, especially from your background in the healthcare space too, we've seen over the last 5 years with COVID kind of exacerbating a lot of the mental health and the burnout and the things that have been going on in that industry that a lot of people, don't really understand if they don't have someone that's close to them. Mike, I know you have someone close in the family. Yeah. Likewise. So when you look at the healthcare industry holistically in the light of the 5Ls, like where do you see the biggest gap there in that space and kind of the things that, people are going through on a day-to-day basis?
So I don't know if there's any one thing that stands out to me. It's everything, right? Because every single person is struggling with something in healthcare. So I'm not a CNO. That's one job I've not had, but I've had many other jobs in the healthcare world, and I also have worked in every setting as well. And so when I read the 5Ls, I was like, wow, this is really foundational to how people need to look at their own self-care, right? I think that's the thing that's really important to remember about the 5Ls, is that it is the foundation of having a healthy mind and body and spirit when you come to work. So for me, that's what really stands out in healthcare.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had just about every role in nursing and been able to, see the landscape holistically. What really lit the fire for you to kind of join forces and really start spreading this message that a lot of people need to hear, especially in healthcare? Yeah,
so I think between the three of us, the concepts of all the different things we do seem to really match each other really well. The things that I was very interested in initially were really about how to support nurses to be successful as nurses and in their personal lives as well. How do you feel confident? How do you have higher self-esteem? How do you kind of get in front of that burnout? Because work is hard. When you're a nurse, it's hard. I don't care what field you're in, whether it's the hospital, the medical foundation, home health, it doesn't matter. It's hard. It's all hard. And we're called to that work because we want to take care of other human beings, but we also have to take care of ourselves. And I think nurses are really good at forgetting to do that.
Absolutely.
And so for me, it was about putting together all of these ideas to find a different way to offer solutions to organizations, to departments, to individuals on how they could actually do better in their own lives.
Yeah. Mike, when you're looking at this, and obviously the 5Ls is for everybody, but I know you have a special place in your heart for the healthcare industry and close to the family. Yeah. When did that idea start, coming to life on the fact that, hey, I really want to hone in and focus on, this group of people that, in a lot of ways seem underserved in this space?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mason, and thank you for asking it. So, well, first of all, you know, a lot of people get kind of hung up. They think the 5 L's is just a book, right? It's not. It's a whole program that we teach. And my business partner and I have been literally teaching it not only nationally here, but we have global clients as well too. So we're going into organizations and we're doing wellness workshops, we're doing full-blown trainings, doing a lot of offsites. And to keep it sustainable beyond the initial trainings and the workshops, we're also doing continuing education. But I'm also focusing in on doing a lot of executive leadership coaching as well too, because a lot of these leaders that are in these roles were put in these roles because they were good at their job, not because they were good leaders, right? So they've been promoted up, but they don't have the skills and the tools for it. So you can train everybody up, but if you don't have good leaders really running the show, that's a miss, right? So we've been doing a lot of that. And so we're in, I mean, think about it. We're in like almost every industry you can think about because everyone's got some sort of stress, burnout, turnover issue with their employees. They're going through growth mode. They're trying to build a culture, whatever it is. So we're across the board in all the industries, but it was personal. It was personal for Sal and I. We both have family and friends in healthcare. And watching what everyone went through COVID, I mean, it's just, it was heart-wrenching for us. So we really wanted to, we're still focused on the other industries, but really take a real hard focus on healthcare, right? And especially the nurses who are the hardest working people in show business and they don't get all the credit they deserve, right? By any stretch of the imagination, right? So we realized that there was a real miss going on. So that's when we actually partnered with Springboard, right? Springboard Labs. And so what our 5 L's, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take nurses and people in healthcare in general from struggling to surviving to thriving, right? That's kind of our plan. So we came together with Springboard Labs, and while the 5 L's is kind of that initial phase, self-help, right? Self-care for the individual, how do you take it to the next level, which is thriving teams? And that's where they come into play, right? So they have a whole thriving teams program, glitch harvesting, which is, you know, these little things that you pick up along the way, to like good things that you pick up along the way to help fix a problem. The TGIF, which is thankful, what inspired you, right? All these kind of good things to bring the teams together on a regular basis when they do their roundings, right? So how do you keep that practice in play? And then you know, what's the missing component? We wanted to not only just take people to thriving, but excelling in thriving. So that's where Surani came into play, right? With Chris is like, you need to meet Surani. Apparently she said the same thing to her about me. And we did, and we're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Let's create something that doesn't exist today, right? So what we've created is this workforce empowerment program, right? Which has all these phases. So it has the 5 L's helping the individual. It has the thriving teams aspect to help the teams. And then it's taking people to the next level from the educational standpoint. And that's where Surani's expertise is, right? So it's really taking people to the next level. But what's really exciting for us as well is not just putting the program together, but having an app in play to help us, right? Which is where Shiftyy comes in, right? So I'll stop talking. I'll let you. That's your baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, Shiftyy, right? I don't know if you heard this story, but Mike, you know, had come out to Nashville to come on the podcast for the second time. I think the first time we recorded was 3 years ago with Sal initially. And this was about a year ago, I think. And we had just launched Shiftyy not too soon before then. So we had started going through the MVP and, you know, started really basically building this out, talking to nurses on the ground floor, you know, getting consultants to come in and really give us that first level approach of how to build this out for nurses. And I remember you sent me the email and you said, hey Mason, I have this lady, her name's Surani, she's amazing, and we have this mission of reaching 1 million nurses and would love to come back on the podcast. And I sat there, I looked at it, I was like, hold on a second.
Did I tell Mike about this?
Did I tell Mike about Shiftyy? And I called him right away.
Immediately.
I called you immediately. And I was like, did I tell you about this? And you're like, no. And I was like, there's no such thing as coincidences.
Absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, for those, and I haven't spoken about this, first time I've spoken about it on the podcast, but Shiftyy is an app and a platform, a place for nurses to connect, share, and grow around the uniqueness of their profession.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about and have talked about, realizing that, you know, there needs to be an exclusive place because there are things that nurses go through that other people don't understand. And they might not feel safe in a larger social environment to be able to really discuss those types of things at the extent that they feel comfortable to. And so this really provides an actually exclusive place. It's verified through nurses they put in their nursing ID. No one is in there that is not a nurse.
Yeah.
And while, when we're building this from the technical side, we're looking at it and saying, okay, well, this might be another barrier for, nurses to come on, and this may be a little bit of a blocker to get more people to come onto the app.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's like how we built this app is specifically for nurses. And to put that barrier in where like, hey, you have to have your nursing ID to get into this, just provides that next level of exclusivity and really comfort for nurses that are coming into the space.
Absolutely.
And so, I just love telling that story because it's so amazing. But I personally, was in the healthcare space as in medical device sales with orthopedic surgeons. So while I wasn't, specifically a nurse, I was in the OR, I was with scrub techs, I was with nurses, I was with physicians and PAs, and I got to see that whole world and realize that there was such a subculture within that space that that people just didn't understand outside of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And so when this came back, fast forward 3 years later, I had my co-founder and the CEO of the company, Levi, come to me, and he was dating a nurse at the time, and had this technical background to be able to, at least lay out a foundation to build something like this.
Yeah.
And he was just seeing all the things that she was going through on a day-to-day basis and how she didn't really have a place to vent and connect with other people that were in the same space as her.
Right.
And so this idea morphed over the last year, and I'm very excited to kind of hard launch it on Shiftyy.
There you go.
Hard launch it today, but for the potential partnership on y'all's end too, to be able to spread that word. So I think it's super important and definitely needed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what we're so excited about because so just you always have to give credit where credit's due. Well, part of the reason we met with Surani, Springboard, and my team, Unparalleled Performance, was because she had this vision. This was her vision that we wanted to help her bring to life with touching 1 million nurses. We kept saying 1.5. She's like, how about we start with 1 million, then we go. And that's where this all came from. And we really see the Shiftyy platform as not only just a safe space, but a place, again, the Surani's area, the educational portion. How do you help continue them to grow when they're in a good mindset? How do you get them to the next level, right? If they want to become a nurse practitioner, if they want to go further in their career, how do they do it, right? So that's where we're seeing Shiftyy in our minds as being able to put education in their hands as well, because we're all running around with a phone. So why not put education in their hands? They have to get a lot of CEUs as well too. Why not put that on there? So we're super excited about Shiftyy, and I also think it's going to help us touch those 1 million nurses faster.
Right. That whole idea came up when Chris Caseman, who's with Springboard Labs, came to see me after a change in career pathway, and he said to me, what do you want to accomplish in your career, in your life? And I kind of looked at him and I thought, wow, nobody's ever really asked me that. And I thought, what really would be important to me is making a difference in 1 million nurses' lives. Whatever that might be, right? I do a lot of speaking. I love teaching. I've really taken a deep, deep love of postgraduate training for NPs and PAs, and just recently joined a fellowship training program to kind of keep that part of my soul fed. And when he asked me that question, it really was the first time I'd ever verbalized that as an idea, right? It's one thing to go out and present to classes, and I would get feedback from nurses or nursing students. Oh my gosh, I remember hearing you speak 5 years ago, and now I'm a nurse practitioner, and it's like, that's incredible. Why can't I do that with 1 million people that are in nursing, healthcare, whatever? Because obviously it's not just nurses. Nurses were non-nurses to begin with, right?
Sure.
So inspiring people to think about what does your life look like if you are interested in something like healthcare? What does it look like? What is your pathway, and what's possible? So this concept came out of that conversation, and then it was just, as they say, a snowball rolling downhill, getting larger and bigger, because, the 5 L's for me fit so beautifully, because you have to have really good leadership to support growth, right? So once you're a nurse, that leadership is critical to help people accelerate their own personal growth. And you have to have that personal connection and self-love in order to move forward in that career of yours, that love of yours.
You have to feel like you're worthy of the next step.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's important. You mentioned leadership, and I know you guys have both talked about leadership so far, and something that you both are very good at and excel at, and want to spread your knowledge and experience to the healthcare communities and to other people.
Yeah.
So, what makes a good leader?
There's so many things. Why don't you answer first?
Well, I would say when I'm thinking about all of the leaders that I look up to, mentored me through all of the years, they're people that believed in me. Number one, they believed in me. They saw something that I absolutely did not see in myself, but they also were really good listeners, and they didn't necessarily ever tell me what to do, but they maybe reflected back on things that I was already saying. So making me realize that I actually did see the answers, and I just needed to go out and just do those. And so for me, it's about believing in the person and also being an amazing listener and obviously a role model, right? So much of my leadership behavior is based off of the nurse leaders and non-nurse leaders, actually, and several of those that I've had in my career. So,
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's hard to follow that. I mean, she kind of like encapsulated the whole thing.
She hit it on
but
the head.
when I sit there and I'm coaching people, the first question I ask is, do you see yourself as a boss? Do you see yourself as a coach? How do you see yourself? And I've seen the greatest leaders, the most effective leaders, they see themselves as coaches, right? Because at the end of the day, if you've ever been in any type of sports, you might not have always liked your coach, but your coach saw something in you and pushed you hard because they knew you could do it and you could be something special, right? So everything Surani said, I think, believing in someone, listening more than you talk, which is hard for a lot of leaders to do because they like to hear themselves talk, but it's honesty and it's caring. And I think that's the most important thing. If you want to be a truly inspiring leader, find out what the individual cares about and then show them that you care what they care about. And that's what makes all the difference. That's what keeps people with you. That's what inspires people. That's what makes them want to do more. I mean, literally, that was critically important for me. So there's 4 questions that I would always ask, and came up in a very, very difficult way. It was a very painful learning experience for me when my then president and CEO, I was young. I was 28 years old. I thought I was absolutely incredible at managing. I was very cool. Not at all. And I thought that my team loved me. They did not, by any stretch of the imagination, like me at all. So I had to get to know them as people. And in that time, because she was gonna fire me because that's how much they didn't like me. And I took the step back and I said, you know what, just talk to them. Get to know them. What do they care about? Who are they, right? And I start to ask questions like, number 1, what motivates you? 2, what are you passionate about? Once you find out what someone's passionate about, then that's the closest you're going to get to knowing the individual. And if you show them a little care, like if Surani said to me, oh, it's my granddaughter's dance recital this weekend. And then I come in on Monday and say, oh my God, how was the dance recital? I just told her I care about what she cares about. Asking people how they like to be communicated to, right? How do they process information? And how do you like to be managed, right? Because there's 2 different styles of management, right? Because we're talking about leadership. There's micro and there's macro. You try to a macro person, they're going to be like, get out of my face, stop micromanaging me, and they're going to leave on you. You try to macro a micro, they're going to end up in your office crying like, I don't know what to do, right? So you have to understand how they like to be motivated, how they like to be communicated to, how they like to be managed, and what makes them tick. And I think if a leader takes time to do that, that makes an exceptional leader.
It's like learning the love language of your partner.
That's exactly right. That's
100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you look at how important leadership is across the board, you talked about a sports organization, you talk about managers and bosses, everything kind of trickles down, they set the tone. What's one thing that you're seeing in healthcare from a nursing leader's perspective where you think this is where it's done right and this is where it's done wrong? Like what is that thing that maybe isn't being done in some healthcare operations that you've seen is making a big difference in the way that the nurses feel and the way that they show up to work?
Well, I think it's about investing in the teams, 100%. I think if we don't see that investment in the development of the nursing team, and that's not just nurses, it's all of the people that work in the department, then you don't see successful teams. And that's really the bottom line. The difference between just showing up to work, punching in, punching out, just do your job, go home and whatever. Don't even think about work again because you just don't have a personal connection to the work, versus people who are deeply invested. They show up and help out when there's short call, or help support each other when there's personal things going on outside of work, or people are going back to school and they're being encouraged to go get certifications or credentials or whatever. Big difference, right? When you look at those two pictures, there is a huge difference in the type of organization I want to select to work for, right?
Yeah.
My very first nursing job was when I was in nursing school, was with a team, an entire hospital that felt more like a family, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
We were deeply connected with each other. We all went to each other's parties, and there was a baby shower or a wedding shower or retirement party every single week. There was something to do, and we all showed up and we all supported each other. Yeah. And then when I've seen other teams where none of that existed, there was just literally no connection with anybody else in the department, even somebody you might be sitting next to at work every day.
Yeah.
No connection at all, because the culture wasn't there to develop that. And the leaders, top down and bottom up, the culture did not exist for that to happen. So that's the difference in the two types of success versus non-success companies that I see.
Yeah, if someone's in that position and maybe they think, who am I to start trying to build a culture? They may, not be at one of those, higher levels to be able to, drive that kind of change from a top-down approach, but they see and feel, hey, I don't really have a connection with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think Shiftyy fills some of that gap, and that's part of what that is. But for them to start on the ground floor, like where their feet are, like what are some things that they could do to kind of garner that culture or start building it just brick by brick?
Yeah. So from my perspective, where I see the the shortfall, they're not investing in their teams, right? Because hospitals, they run like a business, right? Everyone's got to understand a hospital is a business at the end of the day. And if they're if they're falling on hard times or the money is short, they're not investing in their people. And what's happening is you're having massive turnover. And where they're being short-sighted, right, is it's literally so expensive to even replace one nurse.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
1.2 million to replace one nurse.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how much it costs them at the end of the day, between all the value that just walked out the door, all the intellectual property, trying to recruit, having other people work overtime to cover the shift, bringing in someone else from the outside.
Registry.
It just it literally compounds and compounds and compounds. And if you invest in the people, the return on the ROI is exponential. Not to mention the fact that at the end of the day, the most important thing is the person that's sitting there, the patient's experience.
Yeah.
So if you have teams that are burned out, stressed out, not only is the patient not going to have a good experience, there could be a malpractice lawsuit on your hands. And now we're talking millions upon millions of dollars, right? So that's where I see them falling. They're being short-sighted because they're looking at the immediate dollar in a little register and a red number, and they're going, oh my God, we need to cut. And instead of investing, they would see that back like probably tenfold, 10x easy.
Right. And it's one of those tough conversations that I've had with my CFOs over the many years, that time away from the shift, or even partial time away from a shift, to go do a certification class or to attend a prep training program so they can get a national certification, is incredibly valuable in the long run. Yes, there's going to be a shortfall in the immediate time period. Let's figure out how we solve that. Right. But in the long run, even I would even argue a year later, you're going to see incredible reinvestment by that one person and everybody that surrounds that person, because they saw how much we supported that particular nurse to be successful, right? To do something that they're very passionate about. And that is investment. It's hard. Investment is hard, right? Giving up something in order to gain something in the future. And while it's not a physical dollar, it actually can be translated into millions if you end up making the right decision to support your teams. Yeah,
that's incredible. I think it was Alex Hormozy who said, you can invest in the S&P 500, but you should invest in the S&Me 500.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah.
You're going to use that on your
I am
next
totally going to steal that. You know that, right?
S&Me 500.
I like that.
I love that.
I like that.
I think that goes back to just the way culture is right now, though, too.
Right.
From a holistic perspective, everything is instant gratification. Everything seems more short-sighted than being able to step away. And it's hard to do sometimes. You're in the mix of, all the things that are going on within a workday, within your family, within everything else. And you're like, well, why should I take time to invest in me? And nurses especially, I feel like, because they're wired to give, they're caretakers.
Yes.
And a lot of times they don't look back and give that self-love and that self-care back to themselves. And that's ultimately what leads to, like you said, the burnout and some of the things that they're dealing with.
Oh yeah, well, when you talk about love, and that's the first thing we teach in the 5 L's. So if I ask you, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word love? What do you think?
My mom.
Your mom, right? 99% of the times people name something other than themselves,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I drill home really quickly, especially with the nursing community, because they are caretakers.
Yeah.
They're putting everything and everyone ahead of themselves first. Yeah. And it's the oxygen mask theory, because I say to them, first of all, the first L in your life should be self-love. And I was, that's selfish. I'm like, no, it's actually selfless.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you're no good to anyone unless you take care of yourself first. And I'm not saying you need to be a narcissist. That's not what I'm saying. You're not going to go to an NA meeting and be like, hi, I'm Mike, I'm a narcissist. No, what you're doing is you're investing in your mental, emotional, and your physical well-being first, right? And it's the oxygen mask theory, right? Oxygen mask drops in a plane. Who do you put it on? It's not the person next to you, it's you. And that's what I say to all these folks in front of us, especially the nurses, because they need to hear it, is you're no good to anyone unless you take care of you first. And then you're going to be so much of a better person. And that's probably the hardest lesson to learn in the 5 L's, but all of the other 5 L's, they roll up into self-love. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And I think the whole idea behind Shiftyy that's so fascinating to me is that there's this trope that nurses eat their young. I disagree. I completely disagree. You hear people say that all the time, but in fact, nurses are caring, deeply caring people.
Yeah.
And the Shiftyy community will change a culture. So I see that. I see how it could be incredibly valuable, because nurses want to take care of themselves through caring for each other.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that learning that self-love is okay. I think culturally we feel like it's not, because we've been trained to think that it's selfish.
Yeah, it's wrong. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be healthy in order to move forward. And I think that also helps you grow as an individual, right, into the future. Right? You can actually see a future for yourself instead of just keeping your head down and just clocking in and clocking out and really not thinking about anything else around the work that you're doing. Being involved in a Shiftyy culture can open your eyes to all the possibilities. Like one of the things that I love doing is talking to people who are interested in going into nursing, people who want to be a nurse practitioner or a PA. Like, what does that pathway look like? How do you get from where you are, a housekeeper, somebody working in the lab, to becoming that nurse practitioner or the PA working in cardiothoracic surgery, right? What does that pathway look like? Some people have no idea. And so sitting down and actually talking through that with people is so much fun. It's just, I can see the world of possibilities open up in their eyes. And so Shiftyy, I could see offering that for nurses as well, because I always say to people, nursing is literally the best job ever, because you can do anything. You can do literally anything as a nurse. You do not have to just be a nurse in a hospital. You can also be an educator. You can also go start your own company. There's so many things that nurses do right now. I love listening to people's stories and finding out what they also do or used to do. And I particularly love hearing, oh, well, I'm a registered nurse, when I am talking to somebody who's a CEO or running their own company. It's just like, oh, this is so beautiful. It's a wonderful thing to really see that possibility.
It really is. I've noticed that too, that there's so many things that you can do in that career path. It's not just working in a hospital.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Like, especially with med spas and all these other things that are happening. I mean, every time I go to like med spa to get IV or something, I get an IV sometimes, and would sit there and I always just ask the question of like, what do you think about this idea? Look at Shiftyy. Like, why are you here instead of the hospital? Do you work at the hospital the most of the time? Do you come here? And the answers are interesting, right? Because some of them, you know, most of the time they spend at the hospital. Sometimes they come there. Other people maybe didn't have a great experience at the hospital, so they wanted to change a pace, or they're starting a business. And this is, you know, it's just amazing to see that flexibility within the career. And that's why I think the personal side is amazing for building those teams, building connection around the mental health side of things, burnout, the retention that, you know, a lot of those nurses are going through. But also on the professional side, not only with the continued education and the things that, you know, the platform can host, but also entrepreneur side of things. Like, we have a longer term vision to be able to support nurse-owned businesses through Shiftyy. So that is also a big piece of it, because being entrepreneurs ourselves, like, we're like, how do we see what's happening here? How do we empower nurses to be able to take that leap as well and continue to, you know, grow these ideas? So it's exciting. I think there's a lot of things that can happen, and I'm really excited to see the growth. Well,
you know, it's an excellent point that you bring up, because when people hear nursing, they think hospital systems, but it's so much more than that. Right? I mean, it's ambulatory, it's elder care, it's the nurses are everywhere. Home health, everywhere you turn, there's nursing, right? So I think people also have to kind of open up their mind to that as well too, because nurses have been around for the longest time, hundreds and hundreds of years, right? And for us, these are the individuals we feel they really need the attention, because they need to be invested in. They need to feel like someone cares. And that's, like we talked about before, being a good leader, you show that you care. And that's what we're so excited, because the 5 Ls is road tested, right? It's been road tested for the last 6 years. We know it works. It's on a global scale now. Thriving Teams is also road tested, probably even a little bit longer than the 5 Ls with their glitch harvesting, right? And their TGIF and the rounding and all that. And Surani had, and I'm not gonna, she's been doing this for quite some time, and I'm not gonna say how long. I do not want to do that, because then I've learned never to do that. So, but you know, with her decades of experience, right? Putting this all together is just so exciting for us, because it's something that's, first of all, each thing individually was special, but now we're putting this all together as this like almost 3-legged stool. It's incredible. And then you throw something like Shiftyy on top of it. It's just like pouring gasoline on the fire. It's amazing. We're so excited about it.
I think people listening to this that maybe aren't a nurse or don't have someone in the family, they're like, wow, I didn't even think of, you know, the multiple swim lanes and the things that, you know, nurses are going through, and this crisis that's really happening, you know, at such a wide level. I have a stat I want to read. So according to the National Council of State Boards of Nursing, over 900,000 nurses are projected to leave the workforce by 2027. That's nearly 1/5 of the entire workforce. That's the end of the quote. But on top of that, you have an aging population that is also rapidly growing. So those two don't match up.
Not at all.
Nope.
So that is a big problem.
Yes.
Like, how do we fix this?
Right. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And you know, what you're seeing is nurses getting out of nursing, right? They're like, I'm done. I'm burnt out. I'm done. And leaving it. And what we're also seeing too is hospital systems or ambulatory or whatever, like all of the areas that stealing nurses from each other, right? So to your point, people are aging. We're living longer, and we're going to have less folks that are able to take care of us. That's a problem. And if people don't see it as a problem, then that's a bigger problem, right? So that's why we also feel what we're doing is going to really help the people that need it most. Right? And it's going to solve a larger problem in the long run, to your point.
Right. And I think stopping the churn as well. Some churn is healthy and normal. But I think this massive churn, some of those 800,000 nurses, 900,000 nurses leaving the workforce aren't necessarily leaving because they age out of the health system. They're leaving because they are tired. They're tired, and they don't have recognition for the work that they're doing. They haven't ever accomplished the goals that they, you know, always wanted to, you know, do in their career for a variety of reasons. And so putting the 3 ideas together, this 3-legged stool idea, really will help a lot of those nurses potentially say, yeah, you know what, I want to keep working. And maybe instead of staying in the hospital, I'm going to go become a nurse faculty person. Right? Because we don't have enough nurse faculty. That is a huge problem. Like could we grow more nurses? Sure, but you can't actually get into nursing schools in California because there are often not enough faculty to actually teach. So they limit the cohort size of students coming in to be trained as nurses.
Wow.
It's frightening,
That
right?
is.
It's very frightening. And there's not enough clinical places for nurses to get clinical rotations. So there's a lot of ripple effect from nurses not being supported and recognized in the workplace, and also not recognizing that they are worth it. That's another big part of it. So that's why 5 Ls is that foundational, important piece in the house, if you will, that we're building. And then the all of the work that Springboard Labs has done is really creating effective teams. You know, I love my teams. All of the teams that I work with, I'm thinking right now of my clinical team where I work as a nurse practitioner. I love them. I literally love them. And all of the crazy things that we go through, we know all about each other's crazy life experiences. And I look forward to hearing about what's going on every week. Like we do a check-in every single week, like what's new, what's going on, what do I need to know about before we even get to the patients that are coming in for the day. And that's really a beautiful thing. But then also talking to my team members about what do you want to do when you grow up, right?
Yeah.
My medical assistants, do you really want to be a medical assistant for the rest of your career? No. I can't say I know one person who says yes. They want to do other things like, well, what's your passion, right? What do you really want to do? And so it's been one of the joys of my life to see people taking that step and applying for nursing school, applying for medical school, applying for, whatever, NP school, PA school.
Yeah.
So
it's so cool.
People need to live their dreams.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize the fact that it's even, hard to get into the initial phase of that.
Yes.
It's very insightful because then it's broken early.
Yes.
Yeah.
From a staffing perspective too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mention this to a lot of my students. I always say to them, I hope you'll consider being a teacher someday of some type in healthcare.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a preceptor as a nurse practitioner, but maybe you go back and teach undergrad students or nursing students, or you go back and you teach a couple of graduate program classes in a master's or doctoral program for NPs or PAs, right? Because if they don't even envision it, they'll never even conceive of it. Right? They don't see themselves in that space.
Of course.
Sometimes I'm the first person that has ever suggested that to them. And they think, wow, I could do that? Yeah, you could. You could actually do that. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I think what you said is so powerful. The 5 L's is the foundation, right? Because you have to believe in yourself first before you think you can make a change in anybody else's lives. But we're all capable of it. It just starts at that base level.
Yep.
Absolutely. And people look at it the wrong way. And that's why I think people need to start, shifting their mindset. If you can believe in yourself, okay, that's not being self-centered. You can take care of yourself first. Again, that's not being selfish. Yeah. But it's a cultural thing, and we're driven to believe that no, you shouldn't be that way. And again, I'm not saying you're going to become a narcissist. You're just taking care of your mental. I know I'm repeating myself. Your mental, emotional, and your physical well-being first. And I'm repeating that because people need to hear it. Sometimes you need to hear it 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 times before it finally sinks in.
You do.
Yeah, exactly.
Surani, for nurses that are kind of on the edge of leaving the profession right now, one of the 900,000, like what message would you give to them in this moment?
I'd ask them, well, this is what I do. I will talk to people and just ask them, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
Like even next year, what is your vision for yourself in a year or 5 years? And if it's, I want to spend more time with my family, my grandkids, it's like, okay, so what does that look like? But could that incorporate some form of work as well? And what could work look like? One of the problems that I've seen in healthcare is that we're very rigid when it comes to scheduling. I remember talking to different leaders in different organizations about, they have to work full-time or they can't have a job. It's like, why? Like we've been very successful with part-time jobs where people job share, or you might have several people covering a particular full-time shift, right? It's just better business. And I get that it's a little bit more money, but again, it's that short-term investment for long-term gain. Because if you only offer, for instance, full-time shifts only, it's going to be very hard to find somebody to work, because even the new generation of people graduating out of programs don't really want to work 5 days a week. They just don't. And why should they, right? If 3 days a week works for them because they want to pursue other things that are more interesting to them, whatever that might be, then they should, because they're happier, more confident people. And that's who I want to hire. Like, you should hire for fit 100% of the time.
Exactly.
So so for me, it's really about what brings you joy. What do you want to do, and where do you see yourself? So how does work then fit into that picture? How could work look different for you? And nobody sometimes has ever asked them that, right? Like, what could you do differently about work?
Yeah.
And we had conversations at previous organizations about what do we do with the retired nurses who still want to work, right? But they don't want to be volunteers, right? They don't want to show up and hand out newspapers to the patients.
Right.
They actually want to do work. They want to do work that is something that is motivating and also contributing to the better care of their communities. So why can't we come up with an idea of how we use people who are retired but still have active nursing licenses who might want to work 1 or 2 days a week? Why couldn't we do that?
Yeah.
Why not engage them as mentors for new grad nurses?
Yeah.
What a great idea, right?
Yeah.
We should do that. We should do that, and it should be something that is standard practice. So maybe that happens on Shiftyy. Maybe there's a whole section on mentoring that we have nurses who are offering to mentor people who are interested, whether it's a drop-in one-time thing or you set up a year-long relationship, right?
I love that idea.
The evidence supports that is the right thing to do for helping people be successful in their entire careers when they have that support in the beginning of their career.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, as an individual, believe and see something that you've never thought of before without that first initial push.
Right.
You said it earlier. It was the first time I ever actually said 1 million nurses, right? And that, even just saying it out loud, manifesting it, writing it down is that first step of bringing it into existence. But a lot of times people don't get to that step because they don't know what's possible. Yeah. And all they need is that one person to be able to push them a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is possible. Why don't you, look into this, or at least give it a try.
Right.
So for me, and I think for everybody, a mentor, someone that has been where you want to go and done what you want to do is critical. There's a lot of quote unquote mentors out there today that are spewing a lot of BS that I would not advise to listen to. Again, I say,
not agree with you more.
That have done what you want to do and have been where you want to go. Right. But it's so important. And the community aspect of it. Like, ever since COVID, there's obviously been the healthcare piece of this, and I think people are becoming more health conscious, but there's also the loneliness epidemic that has happened.
True.
And we're more isolated now than ever, by design or not. Yeah. And I really think that, we're social beings. Mm-hmm. We need that support system. Yep. We need those people in our corner. We need to work and have the flexibility to do things with people that we love and doing things that we love. And since COVID too, I think, that flexible work experience that you were mentioning, which, nurses can get through shift working, or also, also doing travel nursing and stuff like that. Like, that is such a cool thing to be able to say, like, hey, I get to go see places that I've never been and meet new people. But it all starts with, like, the belief in themselves, having that guidance, and then taking the leap. And a lot of people don't get to that step because they don't believe it's possible.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's fun about the social aspect that you just mentioned is that, a lot of the new nurses will like to do travel nursing because it is kind of fun. It's exciting, get to meet new people and see new places. But at the end of the day, most people don't want to be a travel nurse for the rest of their career. They really want to settle down in a place that they can call home, right? Work for an organization, in a department, surrounded by people that they care about. Yeah. In the end of the day, that is the reality. And they also get inspiration by going out and doing travel shifts and things like that. You can also get that just from your own organization and volunteering to go work other departments. Right? So they can open your eyes up. But I think that at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, right? And having that personal relationship with the people you work with. Yeah. And also recognizing how important it is to yourself, right? I think reflecting back on why you want to be home in a place you can call home. Yeah. With people you can call friends or family.
Totally.
Yeah. Have you, what are you seeing in terms of what's out there right now for nurses in this space? Like, you're doing work, you're going in, you're talking to nurses on the front lines, you talk to nurses all the time. Like, what are they missing the most? Where's the gap that, can be filled through something like Shiftyy or through something like what you're doing?
Sure. So I have to tell you, every time that we've done this in any type of environment that has nurses in it, each one of them come up to us at the end and go, oh my God, this is the best thing this organization has done ever.
Wow.
What's missing is the investment.
Wow.
What's missing is leadership showing that they care, leadership realizing it's not about the almighty dollar, that they'll actually do better from a profit standpoint if they invest in their people. That is what's missing. And what I also think is missing is giving them the tools. And that's what I love about the 5 Ls. It gives them tools that you can implement immediately. They're science-backed. It's no fluff. It's no hype. It really, really works. Yeah. And I have to tell you, you cannot put a dollar amount on it. When someone comes up to me after a keynote, after a workshop, after a training, and they just go, oh my God, you just changed my life. That is just... You can't put words to that. It's just, I even get choked up talking about it now.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so sad. That's what I see as missing, is the investment from leadership, realizing that there is a burnout epidemic, people are turning over, and people are they're in an anxious environment. I mean, there's life and death going on here on a regular basis. And no matter how used to it you think you get to it, you don't. Yeah. Right? And it's impacting your health, and sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. Yeah. So that's what I see is missing, is giving folks the tools and management and leadership really investing in it. That's what's going to make the difference in my belief.
Right. And what I see is this kind of lack of recognition that nurses do need something other than the required training, right? Yeah, we need the opportunity to do the things that are interesting to us, whether it's a national certification in a specialty that you love, or it's going back to school and getting a degree for something, and then being able to pursue that to whatever that end is, whether it's being faculty or becoming an advanced practice clinician of some type, right? Yeah. Recognition for that work also is really a beautiful thing. It's free, it's cheap. Like you don't have to even spend any money to recognize the fact that people have gone back to work or become nationally certified. It's an easy thing to do with the rounding, even remembering that somebody was going back to school or they were studying for a national exam, and then saying congratulations on getting that certification. That must feel really good. Yeah. And putting it in your department newsletter or your organization-wide newsletter, calling out the nurses that are getting things done and showing up for things that are outside of their comfort field. It's just really important. And I think a lot of leadership just doesn't remember that, because we're I sat on the leadership side, right? I see the numbers. I get why finances are so concerning to all of us. Yeah. But this long-term investment is really the way that you are successful long into the future instead of just this month. So.
Yeah. On the continued education side, is there a place that kind of hosts that data in terms of hey, I have these certifications, these are the things that, I can do within the facility? What does that look like?
No, there's nothing like that.
Doesn't exist.
Nothing like that at all. Yeah, that could be a thing. Right. That we develop.
Well, that's kind of what
I'm envisioning, the certifications on their profile to show, what they're...
Yes.
Absolutely.
The trainings that they've done, what they went through, gives them credibility for the things that they're discussing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I could totally see that on Shiftyy. That's why we're so excited about this component of it. Yeah. Right? Because we can get out there and we can train as much as we want and give people the tools. But when you're able to put technology with that, and you're able to put vision to that, like you said, you can see what's out there, you can see the different certifications you can get, and then seeing it on their profile as well too. I mean, how cool is that, right? Yeah. So it just takes it to a whole other level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's super cool. I'll give you another data point, because I know you're a science-backed data guy.
I am the geek.
I always love this. I love this about our conversations, because a lot of people come on, they might be big talkers, but I love the actionable, hey, this is how we can actually make this work. This is the data to back this. So 57% of nurses say they don't have adequate support for mental health at their work. Yeah. 80% report emotional exhaustion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So in your trainings, Mike, what signals of burnout do you see before somebody starts actually breaching that stage of, oh wow, I'm past the edge here?
Yeah. Well, you know what you start to see right out of the gates? First of all, the person that came in so excited to make a difference, they get jaded. It's not even, they just start going through the motions. Yeah. The next thing you start seeing is them calling out.
Yeah.
right? And then you see people getting bitter. And that's the worst thing to see. I mean, I've seen, so funny story, okay, 5L's funny story. We walk in, we're doing a training, and I'm not going to say where, but it was in a hospital, and a nurse comes up, and we always, wish everyone good morning. Good morning, hi, I'm Mike, nice to meet you. And she goes, yeah, we'll see. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is going to be a fun class. So at the end of the class, she came up to me. Now, this was a ER nurse supervisor, okay? She was definitely living in the trenches, and she's been with this organization 30 years. She came up and hugged me. She had a little tear in her eye and said, this is the best thing this organization has done in 30 years. And that was just blew me away. But it gets better. 6 months later, we see her walking down the hallway. She stops us, and apparently we've become now the 5L's guys. That's not, we don't even have names anymore. Hey, 5L's guy. I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? She's like, oh, I have to tell you, it's going great. I've been sending everyone on my team to go to your training. And I was like, really? She goes, yep, it works. And she went on her merry way. And that to me was just, blew me away. But the thing is people don't see this, and they're not looking out for it. And that's where, when you talk about rounding, and that's where, when Thriving Teams talks about TGIF, it's what you're thankful for, what you're grateful for, what inspired you, what's been fun. So it's listening to the team and hearing and catching. Catching when someone might be in stress or de-stress, right? So they're like, how do you get in there and make sure that you're doing what needs to be done quickly? So that's what I've seen. I'm sure you've seen a lot more because you've been in the trenches.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all of those things are going to show up with anybody, really. You get a sense of how tired people are, and really encouraging people to take the time to do self-care is sometimes going to help in the short term, right? But also taking advantage of all the things that an organization does offer. Many people don't do that.
That's true.
So, I mean, from vacation time, right? Yeah. Taking regular vacation time to also taking advantage of the education monies that are available. I can't tell you how many years of budgeting I saw the education dollars for even my nurses just sat on the books year after year after year, basically not touched.
Wow.
It's just unbelievable to me. It's like, take advantage of that because this is a gift. This is the company paying for you to go do anything you want with this education money. And so the things that really worry me are this kind of disconnect from work, right? Yeah. They're just going through the motions and not really coming to work with any intention of feeling like they're contributing, right? They're just going through the motions. So those are the signs that are kind of obvious in any field, right? It's not just healthcare. But in healthcare, it's more important because we have people's lives in our hands, right? So if you're not paying attention, then bad things can happen. Errors happen, whether it's medication or just patient care. And we don't want that to be the case, right? We need to have people take care of themselves and take care of themselves first, right? Don't have that person be forced to take time off because they're so exhausted or have been written up for performance, right? It's like let's get to it before that actually happens. The 5Ls is the way to take care of yourself first. Right.
It reminds, when you're telling me that story, it reminds me of this word that I always come back to. It's awareness.
Yes, totally awareness.
Because she came in maybe not even aware of all of those things that were built up.
Oh, yeah.
And then just being able to hear that message from you maybe put a light bulb on, like, these are the tools. So it's being aware of those things and then getting the actionable tools to be able to actually exercise what you've now become aware of. But a lot of people walk around with the blinders on. They don't become aware of the things that they're feeling internally or the stress that they're bottling up, or it can go outside of work, with personal relationships. So I think that's the first stage, and that's amazing that you're doing that work, is opening people's awareness. And that's what I hope the podcast does as well, is help you peel back some of the layers and remove the sunglasses that we keep on. It's easy to keep on, right? It's hard to open up that whatever that is. It's hard to open that up. Especially to other people, but also to yourself.
Oh, totally. It's very hard.
You may have a friend you can talk to some stuff about, but how often are you going to really be honest with yourself about your shortcomings or the trauma that you've buried and you're not getting over, or how stressed and overwhelmed you actually are, or how you haven't been taking care of your physical health and eating like crap. Those types of things it's hard to look in the mirror.
Well,
Right.
I was just going to say that. And, to Surani's point, it's being educated on the education, right? So we've been saying, management needs to invest in management, and I'm still saying that. But you know what? It's also incumbent upon yourself to say, oh, okay, what's being offered? Right? You said a lot of times people don't even know the education. The dollars are being left on the table.
Yeah.
So it's making sure that they actually look in the mirror, see, okay, this isn't about it's not just about the job. Okay, what's going on with me and what's available to me right now?
Yeah.
You know what? Let me worry about me. Let me make a difference about me, right? And then take it from there. But I think that's a really incredible point. To your point, they're not looking in the mirror and they're not even looking at what's around them. They have the blinders on. They're going through the motions. And that's a terrible place to be.
But also, their leadership is not making it available to them either, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I think it's incumbent on leadership, whether it's the CEO or the manager of the department, to make sure that the team knows what's available to them.
Totally.
I mean, we do all these things because we want people to be successful, but then we don't tell them about it or remind them of it when they don't take advantage of it. It's like it serves nobody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we want to make sure that your teams are aware of that. And I mean, rounding is one of the best things that I ever learned to do. Yeah. And it really helps connect you to what's going on with people in all the departments. And it's a good habit, and there's no way you're going to miss if you continue to do that, because people get to know you, you get to know them, and it develops a trust.
Yeah.
So
it's really empowering the organization from the top down, but then also empowering everyone who makes it run.
Bottom up.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally.
And I think that community aspect of like, am I just talking in an echo chamber here? But what Shiftyy can provide on the personal side and on the professional side
Totally.
is like, wow, there's a lot of people that are going through the exact same thing. I feel validated. I feel heard.
Yeah.
And numbers are powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And community is powerful. So to be able to have that back and forth and that dialogue on a deeper level in a comfortable, safe place.
Yep.
Like, I feel like that is a big piece of what, Shiftyy can help provide.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. I have some fire rounds. So,
Oh, here we go.
You ready for this?
I forgot about this. Okay.
okay.
All
So
right.
quick fire.
Sure.
One phrase you never want to hear from a nurse again.
Oh,
I don't want to be here.
yeah.
Okay. Mike,
Me?
ready?
I'm done. That's what I would do. I'm sorry, I was answering her question. Good.
Okay. One policy change that would shift nurse burnout overnight.
Oh, it's investing. It's getting past of looking at the almighty dollar, thinking, okay, if I cut this amount of head, if I do this, they're burning people out by doing that, right?
Yeah.
So the policy change has to be investment. Let's invest in the people, because at the end of the day, it's going to help the organization. It is. But to Surani's point earlier, it takes a little bit of courage to invest, because it's not an immediate hit to the bottom line, but it will come back exponentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Surani. Most underrated form of wellness for nurses.
Oh, self-care, exercise.
Exercise. Yeah.
Go take a walk.
Yeah.
Do something.
I have to remind myself that
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, just sitting at a computer all the time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Get up.
gotta get up, gotta
Yeah.
move.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, last one.
All right.
One word to describe the future of nursing if we get it right.
Wow.
I mean, my word is powerful.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not to tag on Surani, I would say empowered,
Yeah.
right? Folks would be empowered, and that empowerment is going to it's going to be this ripple effect that touches everybody.
Amazing. Is there anything I forgot to ask you this?
What's that?
You're writing a kid's book.
Yes.
Oh.
And Surani is actually the first recipient of the children's book. It's going to be out July 14th.
Okay.
Because we felt that the message needed to get out to the youth.
Yeah.
Why are we
absolutely.
just keeping it, with the adults? This message is so powerful. The 5 L's, and as my business partner would say, the 5 L's knows no bounds. It touches everybody. So we wrote a children's book. It's called Finney and the 5 L's.
Yes.
Finney is a dog, right, that goes on this adventure, and he finds each one of the 5 L's, which is a dog toy. And it, when he gets it all together at the end, it makes him the happiest dog in the world. And Finney is that. And here's another funny story for you. Finney is actually my dog, who apparently likes my business partner more than me.
Oh, man.
And that's where the name Finney came from. We were looking for a character, and we're there one day, and Finney's jumping all over my business partner. And Sal co-wrote the book with Randy Bynum, the CEO of the Girl Scouts of Nassau County. She came from Scholastic Books in Sesame Street. It was actually her initial idea to us, like, oh my God, you have to write a kid's book. And Sal was like, oh God, we have to do that. I'm like, well, can we finish this one first? And then we finally finished it, right? So now the kid's book is out. And the dog's jumping all over him. He goes, I got it. I'm like, you got what? And he's like, the name, Finny, Finny. I'm like, oh God, now here we go. Now the dog's going to be famous. I'll never be able to play with the dog again. He's going to have this big ego running around. But July 14th, we're super excited. It's finally going to drop.
That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, that's the most important thing. I think, right? Like the things that we learn when we're young stick with us for the longest time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, your whole life.
Longest time.
It's true.
I've asked Mike this question, but Surani, since it's your first time on the show, what is your definition of success?
Oh, I think at the end of the day, feeling accomplished, right? Whatever that means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if the nurses that are listening today, or even if someone that's listening that knows nurses, I feel like most of us, have at least some correlation, right? What is the biggest thing that you want them to take away from today's episode?
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
100%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Breathe and Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. Thank you, Surani and Mike, for coming, like I said, from the opposite sides of the coast.
Yes, we did. We flew and we merged here. Thank you for having us.
To have you all here. And, I know this episode is going to affect a lot of people in a positive way. And I'm excited to see what you both continue to build and what we can hopefully do together.
Well, thank you for what you do, Mason.
Thank you so much, Mason.
Thank
Appreciate it.
Thank you all so much. Share this with the nurse. That is your action today. I never sell you anything. This show is free. Share this with someone who you think can benefit from this today, and we'll catch you next week.